Hey guys, this is Rob Robbie, and you're watching OVOV TV, where your voice matters.
Salam and welcome. This is a segment that we call Debunked. In this episode, we will be dismantling the common misconception about Christianity and answering the question, are Black people Christians solely because of Europeans? We brought in our resident historian, CJ, to explain the historical connection between Africa and Christianity. Did you know that Christianity began to spread in Africa and Asia hundreds of years before it spread to Northern Europe?
Christianity first entered Africa in the 1st century AD when it went into Egypt. From there, it spread into Nubia around the 2nd century AD, and then into Ethiopia in the 3rd century AD. And we'll go a little more detailed into that. So first of all, Egypt. Christianity spread very early on into Egypt because a lot of elements in the Christianity were very similar to what the Egyptians already practiced. The idea of a person dying and ascending to heaven was very familiar to the ancient Egyptians. So for them, adopting Christianity, it was a concept that they could understand a lot easier because it's similar to what they already believed with the Egyptian god Horus and Osiris. From there, it spread down the Nile into Nubia. And Nubians are actually mentioned in the Bible in a couple of places, actually. But the one we're concerned about is the story of Candace. The story that there was a Christian monk who was compelled by God to go out into the desert. And he was told that there he would find an official or eunuch of Candace, who was the queen of Nubia. The title Candace, we think of it as a name, but it's actually a title. It's the Nubian word for queen. In the Bible, they refer to it as Candace of Ethiopia, but that was kind of the Greek. Greeks kind of used Ethiopia to mean all Black people. They just kind of generalized that name and just said all Black people are Ethiopians. But the title referred to a Nubian queen. It would later spread through to Ethiopia with a Greek monk named Frumentius. And this was in the 3rd century. Now keep in mind, when we're thinking of Christianity, a lot of people think it's solely a European religion, but places like Germany and Scandinavia didn't become Christian until the 4th and 5th centuries, and even later than that in parts of Scandinavia. This was long after Egypt, Nubia, and Ethiopia were already largely Christian countries. But so Christianity, there's a lot of Christians in Africa that were there long before Europeans colonized Africa. So it's a misconception that Africans are solely Christian because of colonization. There were millions of Christians in Africa without colonization or largely too much contact with Europeans. There was trade with the Roman Empire, but there was no conquest going on. There was no force involved. It was simple traders and monks coming into these countries and saying, hey, we've got this new religion, we think it's great. And the people listening and adopting from there. There was no force involved in the conversions of countries like Nubia and Ethiopia. They became Christian because they wanted to, and it had no force involved. So it is a misconception that the only reason Black people are Christian is because Europeans came in, colonized, and said, become Christian or die. That's not how it happened all over the world, and it probably would have spread to other parts of Africa had it not been for Islam kind of cutting off Christians in Nubia and Egypt and Ethiopia from other parts of Africa. So you had these 3 islands of Christianity, if you will, surrounded by countries that were either Muslim to the north or more pagan to the south. So it is a misconception that people are only Christians because of this.
The next time someone tells you that Black people are Christians solely because of European colonization, you can tell them that's false. Thank you, CJ, for joining us today. That's all about all the time we have. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.